Hey guys, this is Mark Goldberg from Mark Vlogs Watches, and I have another exciting and somewhat upsetting episode for you today. But before we jump into the meat and potatoes of what's happening out there in Rolex land, let's go ahead and do the quick fist watch check. Warning, I'm not wearing a Rolex. And here it is. Please do me a huge favor and throw a like on this video. Also subscribe to my channel so we can do this again together soon. Today I am wearing a GShock. I will be utilizing a chainsaw in my backyard, and I always like to wear something rough and tough when doing yard work. Guys, we gotta talk, and I have a letter. Now, the gentleman who wrote me this letter did not request that I change his name. So, but the reality is I'm going to do it anyway for reasons that will become obvious in a moment, but I am going to leave the country in. So here we go. Hi, Mark Goldberg. I hope you are fine. I really enjoy your videos, and I kindly would like to ask you something. If you answer me, I would be very happy. How nice to make a viewer happy. It's so simple. Oh, by the way, if you would like me to make you happy, write me at markgoldberg8@gmail.com with your question, and I hope to make you happy. Last November, I bought a Rolex GMT 11610 BLNR Batman Jubilee, which, by the way, guys, is commonly known as the Batgirl. And the AD charged me over list price for that item. I paid something like US $2,000 more than the list price on their website in my country, which is Brazil. I do not know if they are allowed by Rolex Factory to practice these prices. What do you think about that? Thank you, and hoping to hear from you very soon. David. David, not his real name. Brazil, his real country. Guys, here's the thing. We can pick this apart in several different ways, and I think we should. So the first thing is, you know, the Batgirl is trading for something like, I don't know, $8,000 over list price, something in that range, I think. Correct me if I am wrong about that. But I believe it's in the $7,000, $8,000 premium range. So on the one hand, David only paid a $2,000 premium. And I dare say any of you who are interested in a Batgirl at this time, especially when we're looking at the possibility that it may be discontinued on its current bracelet iteration, as per the video that I dropped yesterday, link in the description. If that happens, the premium of that Batgirl is likely to go from $7,000 or $8,000 to $9,000 or $10,000. And David paid only a $2,000 premium. So I guess in the world in which we live, in the practical real world of today, messy, dirty, vicious, and violent though it may be, he did well. So David, you did well. I can't go out and buy a Batgirl at only $2,000 over list price today, which would be something like $11,700 US. I can't do it. So the fact that you were able to do it, I think is good for you. And as a practical matter, it means you have instant owner equity of probably an additional $5,000 if you decided that you wanted to flip it. So that's the practical way of looking at this. But what about the ethical and moral way of looking at this? And from the ethical standpoint, not strictly the financial standpoint, but from the ethical standpoint, it's wrong, okay? And the reason for that is no, the Rolex authorized dealer agreement does not permit the distributor to sell that watch over list price. They are bound by the Rolex agreement, and I'm sure this holds true worldwide, to sell the product at list, not over list. And what that means is that on some level, well, on a very practical level, your AD cheated on their Rolex authorized distribution agreement. Now we have to swing back to the practical level, because there are a lot of ADs who do not violate the policy. They charge only list for the Batgirl, but they might have made you buy $10,000 or $12,000 or $15,000 worth of stuff at the store that you didn't really want. Lady Datejusts, gold earrings, diamond bracelets, things that you necessarily didn't want, and brands and watches. So, you know, at the end of the day, David, I think you did extremely well, but we still have to recognize that that dealer is somewhat corrupt, okay? I don't think there's any other way to say it. Now, of course, the problem is that most authorized dealers, I think, do a fine job. But boy, every once in a while, one comes along, selling out the back door, charging over list price, flat out lying to you about what inventory they have and what you have to do in order to, buy a Rolex. And the sad part about all this is that it gives the legitimate, family-owned, hardworking, authorized dealer a bad name. And they don't deserve it, because most of these guys are working very hard to sell you watches. I mean, after all, this is how they make a living. And right now, inventory is very low because Rolex isn't supplying so many watches, which means that the authorized dealer, they're still held to a high standard by the Rolex agreement, which means their overhead is very high, and they defray that overhead with the profitable sales of Rolex watches. But the problem is right now, the cool stuff, the good stuff, like that Batman that you bought, or the Batgirl on the Jubilee, it's in short supply, and they can't knock those out every day. And different authorized dealers are taking different steps to combat that problem. Some of them are going full-blown corrupt. And I think that this is a shame, especially because I think that this is tolerated by Rolex, the manufacturer in Geneva, but the Rolex AD on the street corner in Columbus, Ohio, in Indianapolis, Indiana, in Chicago, Illinois, most of these guys are working very hard to do it correct. But one bad apple really can leave a bad taste in the entire barrel. And this is why so many watch collectors today are really angry at Rolex. So guys, I have a proposition for you. And that is, I think it may be time to start naming names, taking numbers and naming names. So here's how we can do that. First, absolutely tell me about your experiences, good, bad, or ugly, in the comments. And I know, please, if you have had a good AD story and relationship, go ahead and drop that also, because I don't want this to sway only to the bad. And what happens is sometimes in the comments, people only leave comments because they're angry. It's like nobody remembers to leave a good Yelp review. You only leave Yelp when you're angry. But this is one of those times when I would like to see some support for the legitimate, honest, hardworking, authorized dealer, because their life is not so easy right now. A high overhead, lack of inventory to sell. Okay, and so I have a respect. I'm a capitalist. I'm an entrepreneur, so I understand and I respect what they do. But I also think it's time to start calling out the corrupt ones. So what I'd like you to do is to not only put your story in the comments, but don't name names in the comments. What I want you to do is drop me, markgoldberg8@gmail.com, drop me an email. And here is what I am particularly interested in, okay, is if I can use your name. If I can use the name of the authorized dealer who charged you over list, and this is what I'm looking for. And what I'm going to need as proof is I'm going to need a photograph of your receipt, which shows what you paid for that watch and that it was over MSRP. And then with your permission, I will name the AD and I will show the proof. But before doing that, I will offer them the opportunity to, comment on that. I'm not trying to, be subject to fraud or, I'm not looking to hurt anybody, but I am looking to spread the truth. So I would like you to become my Rolex army. Now, does this require a little bit of bravery on your part? It does, because, let's be honest, you might potentially blow up an authorized dealer relationship. But guys, if you're getting charged over list price, something is wrong. Something is rotten in Denmark, and I think it's time as collectors we stood up and said, heck no, we're not going to take it anymore. So I would like to know what you think of this particular set of problems. Again, David, it's a kind of a sticky wicket here, because if I could buy a Batman at $2,000 over list, I'd probably be tempted to do it, because I would know at any point in time I could just resell it and get all of my money back and probably some extra on the one hand. On the other hand, it's technically immoral. It's technically violates the contract anyway, and I have an ethics problem with that. Guys, what do you think? I suppose on the one hand we would all do it, so I don't blame David. Maybe the AD should just be at liberty to sell it whatever they want, and then this problem could get better resolved. But as long as Rolex is tightly controlling the contract and the terms of sale, I think that what they really ought to do is enforce it, and they are very spotty on enforcing it. So I really think the problem lays more in Geneva, Switzerland than it does in Brazil. Guys, tell me what you think. Did I give David some good advice? What do you think of this whole can of worms? And are you willing to name names and show me your receipt, tell me your story, etc.? Now, by the way, this is Goldberg. We're going to do this again together, so like and subscribe. Peace out, and remember one thing: paint the sky your favorite color.